I'll forget you in a week. Losers like you aren't that memorable. My fiancée humiliated me in front of her family, bragged about finding someone better, then came crawling back after I wrecked her life. Sup Reddit. So my fiancée called me a forgettable loser in front of her entire family. Then she found out exactly how unforgettable consequences can be. I, 29 male, live in Austin, and weld the kind of industrial equipment people only notice when it fails. Pressure vessels for refineries, drilling rig parts, pipeline sections. If welds show up sketchy enough to blow under pressure, it comes to my shop. The job takes years of certs and steady hands. Base is 48 grand. With overtime, I usually hit 55, which is just enough money to survive while my back quietly plots revenge. My actual joy is in my garage. A 1969 Mustang Mach 1 I found rotting in a barn outside Bastrop 3 years ago. Paid $4,000 and erased my savings in one move. The original 428 Cobra jet barely rotated when I hauled it home. I spent 18 months rebuilding it piece by piece, buying parts whenever overtime checks landed. Now it starts with a nasty rumble that makes my neighbors reconsider being friendly. Saturdays are my ritual. Garage door up, borrowed tools everywhere, cheap energy drinks, and me turning knuckles into calluses. That Mustang is my one dumb dream in a life that's otherwise bills and shifts. I met my fiancée Veronica, 28 female, 4 years ago at a downtown spot. She was there with her real estate office celebrating some big deal. She walked over to me, sat down like it was her chair, and asked about the Mustang shirt I was wearing. Said she loved classic cars and wanted to learn restoration. Then she asked for my number. After that, she stayed on me. Texts, plans, acting genuinely interested in my life, including the half-built car eating my garage. Eventually, I proposed because she made it feel normal. Like someone like her could actually want someone like me. 2 months after the proposal, Veronica mentioned her friend Hadley had a fiancé who paid all their wedding costs, like a real provider should. She said it while scrolling Instagram, barely looking up, like it was just a fun little thought. When I reminded her we agreed to split everything evenly, she laughed and said she was joking. Her tone didn't match the laugh. That comment didn't leave. On March 8th, I texted her to confirm we were still doing 50-50. She replied right away, "Obviously, we should split it. We both have careers." She made about 52 selling houses in North Austin. I made about 55 with overtime. Equal split made sense. I kept the receipts anyway. In April, the venue deposit was due. $3,200 total, $1,600 each. I sent a Venmo request. She texted, "Commission check hits next week. I'll get you then." Fine. Reasonable. 2 days later, she posted shopping bags from Nordstrom with, "Treating myself." I covered her half of the deposit. She never mentioned it again. By summer, I'd dropped almost 7 grand on wedding costs. She'd put in maybe 2,500. I was covering about 75% while picking up double shifts just to keep rent from eating me alive. Meanwhile, her social media stayed loud. Expensive restaurants downtown, weekend trips to San Antonio, designer bags from Domain Northside. Always money for luxury, never money for obligations. I didn't push it. That's what guys do when they're trying to be reasonable. I told myself it was temporary, and she'd catch up when commissions hit. But I documented every transaction. By the time she finally asked what I was doing, the folder already had a name. One Thursday in mid-November, Veronica announced that her parents wanted to come over Sunday afternoon to discuss wedding details. Her mother apparently needed to finalize vendor contracts and needed both of us present to make decisions. I said sure, Sunday worked. She made some comment about how I better clean up the place and make it look presentable for once, like my rental house was some kind of embarrassment that needed apologizing for. Sunday rolled around and they showed up at 2 in the afternoon. Her parents pulled into my driveway in a Mercedes S-Class. Her sister Melissa and her husband followed in a BMW X7. I opened the door and her mother walked past me without making eye contact, just swept into my living room, like she was inspecting condemned property. Her father gave me this tight handshake that lasted about half a second. Melissa nodded. Her husband ignored me completely. Veronica was already inside, having arrived early to rearrange furniture and hide anything she deemed embarrassing. She'd moved my toolbox off the counter and shoved my work boots into the closet. First 15 minutes was forced small talk. Weather, traffic, comments about how far the drive was from their neighborhood. Her mother settled into my couch like it might give her diseases. She kept glancing around with this pinched expression. Standard stuff from Target and IKEA. Nothing fancy, but clean and functional. "So," her mother started, digging through a leather portfolio. "We need to discuss the venue situation." She pulled out printouts, 2 brochures, and a page from the wrong email chain. She frowned, flipped it, kept talking. Melissa checked her phone, then smirked without looking up. Country clubs, hotels, packages with minimums circled in pen. Stuff you book when you want guests impressed. Veronica and I had picked a garden place outside the city 8 months ago. 5 grand total. Everyone smiled at the time. Anyway, her mother said, tapping a page. The Windsor has an opening in June. 45,000 for 200. I started to speak. Veronica jumped in, way too fast. It's what we need. The original venue was inadequate. Her father finally spoke up. What exactly do you do again? I'm a lead welder at Cedar Ridge Fabrication. Pressure piping and code work. He made this noise. Not quite a laugh, more like a dismissive exhale through his nose. Right. Service industry. Skilled trade, I corrected. Takes years to get qualified for the work I do. 6G certs, X-ray inspected welds, turnaround work for refineries. Sure. He said it the way you'd agree with a child who insists their crayon drawing is museum-quality art. Her mother jumped back in. The issue is that we've been looking at the financial projections, and frankly, we're concerned about whether this arrangement is sustainable long-term. Which arrangement? The marriage. She said it like she was discussing a failing business merger. Melissa married someone with real career prospects, partnership track at a law firm. They have a future, security. But this situation with you and Veronica feels very different. Veronica was nodding along, not defending me. I make decent money, I said. Union shop, benefits, pension. Her father actually laughed at that. A pension. How quaint. Do you have any idea what private wealth management returns look like compared to whatever your union hall is promising? I know I don't need my parents financing my lifestyle. The room went cold. Veronica's face flushed red, but her mother just smiled. That sharp, cruel smile that said she'd been waiting for me to step out of line. Interesting perspective from someone who lives in a rental property in this neighborhood. Her mom looked around my living room like she was cataloging evidence. No equity, no investments, no real assets beyond that truck outside that looks like it survived a demolition derby. What's the 5-year plan here? 10-year? Are you two going to live in this rental forever? We've talked about buying something when we're ready. Veronica shifted in her seat. She'd been quiet, but now she was looking at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Pure contempt mixed with embarrassment. You know what? She said suddenly. Can we just be honest here? Everyone turned to look at her. She stood up, phone in her hand, and I watched her scroll to a text thread before looking back at me. I've been seeing someone else, so we don't actually need to talk about all of this. The room stayed silent. Her family didn't react with shock or disapproval. They just sat there, waiting. His name is Quentin. He's a financial analyst. He has an actual career with actual prospects. He owns a condo downtown and drives a car that doesn't embarrass me when he picks me up. She was pacing now, building momentum like she'd been rehearsing this. Quentin understands ambition. He knows what he wants and goes after it. He doesn't spend his weekends underneath some broken car pretending it's a hobby when it's really just an excuse to avoid real responsibility. Her mother was nodding, actually nodding along while her daughter confessed to cheating. 3 years, Veronica continued. 3 years I've been trying to turn you into someone worth marrying. Someone my friends wouldn't laugh about behind my back. Someone who could actually provide the life I deserve. She twisted the engagement ring off her finger. White gold band with a 3-carat diamond that took me 5 months of overtime to save for. This ring is pathetic. You know that, right? Quentin showed me what he'd buy me. 2 carats, platinum setting, from Tiffany's, not some discount jeweler in a strip mall. She threw the ring at me. It hit my chest and clattered onto my hardwood floor. Quentin would never be so pathetic. He'd never embarrass me like this in front of my family, too. Living in this dump, driving that trash truck, working a job that requires name tags and time clocks. She stared at me with pure disgust. Honestly, I'll forget you in a week, probably less. Quentin's already planning real trips, real experiences, not your sad little budget vacation ideas. Her mother stood up, smoothing her designer skirt. Veronica has been very patient with you, very understanding, more than you deserved, frankly. I looked at all of them, her parents, her sister, her brother-in-law, all sitting in my house, on my furniture, drinking from my cups, looking at me like I was the problem. I stood up, walked over to where the ring had landed, picked it up and slipped it in my pocket. Then I looked at Veronica. We're done. Get out. The room went dead silent. Veronica blinked like I'd spoken a foreign language. What? You heard me. We're done. This relationship is over. Get your family out of my house. Her face went from confused to panicked in about 3 seconds. Wait. What? No. That's not how this works. Pretty sure that's exactly how this works. You cheat, you confess, I dump you. Simple math. You can't just say that. She actually said that, like I needed permission. Already did. Leave. She started yelling. You're seriously breaking up with me? I am the one who is leaving you. You should at least fight for me? Yeah, what a tragedy. Now leave. Her mother shot to her feet. How dare you speak to her that way? Who do you think you are? The guy whose house you're all standing in uninvited. You ungrateful little man. Her mother's face was red now, voice rising. My daughter gave you 3 years of her life. She made you human. She made you acceptable. Before her, you were nothing. A mechanic with grease under his fingernails and no prospects. She turned you into someone who could almost function in civilized society. Fascinating perspective. Still leaving, though. Her father stood up too. Now wait just a minute. Shut up, Gordon. Her mother cut him off without looking at him. This is your fault. I told you he wasn't good enough. I told you accepting this arrangement was a mistake, but you insisted on being diplomatic. She turned back to me. You should be grateful my daughter even looked your way. Do you understand what she gave up for you? What opportunities she passed on? Apparently not, Quentin. So I'm thinking the sacrifice wasn't that extreme. Veronica was crying now. Angry, crying. You can't do this. You're just going to throw away everything we built? What did we build exactly? Because from where I'm standing, I paid rent while you cheated, and your family planned how to spend my money. Give her back the ring, her mother demanded. No, that ring belongs to Veronica. Give it back right now. It belongs to whoever I gave it to. I'm taking it back. Deal with it. Her mother pulled out her phone. I'm calling the police. This is theft. You're stealing from my daughter. Call them. Please, I need someone to help me get you out of here. She dialed anyway. Stood there with her phone pressed to her ear, reporting a theft in progress. Gave my address. Said I was refusing to return property that belonged to her daughter. Made it sound like I was holding them hostage. I sat down on my couch and waited. Veronica was pacing. Her mother was on the phone with the dispatcher. Her father looked uncomfortable. Melissa and her husband were inching toward the door like they wanted no part of whatever was about to happen. Took about 12 minutes for the patrol car to show up. 2 officers stepped out. Both looked tired. The older cop stepped inside first, took one look, and sighed. Woman crying. Older woman squared up. Me on my couch. What's going on? Veronica's mother jumped in. He stole my daughter's engagement ring. We came for a family discussion, and he got violent. Arrest him. The officer glanced at my empty hands. He looked past me at the untouched coffee table, then at his partner, like he already knew this was a family argument again. You violent? No. I'm sitting down. She took the ring off, threw it at me, and said she was seeing someone else. I picked it up. That's it. He turned to Veronica. Did you throw it? She hesitated. I mean, I took it off and I might have tossed it, but did it hit him? Yes. The cop nodded once, already done. He looked back at her mother. So she returned it. This isn't a theft call. That ring is hers. Ma'am, I'm not getting in the middle of who owns what jewelry. If you want to argue about a gift, get a lawyer. Nobody's getting arrested tonight. Her mother started to protest. The officer cut her off. Does everyone here live at this address? No, but my daughter does. He looked at me. Does she? Her stuff's in the bedroom. Fine, she can stay. Everyone else needs to leave. He asked you to go and it's his place. Veronica's mother looked like she might explode. This is ridiculous. I want to file a complaint. I want him arrested. For what? Sitting on his couch? The officer was losing patience. Did he threaten anyone? Touch anyone? He told us to leave. Very aggressively. And it's his house, so that's not illegal. That's just him telling you to leave his house. My daughter lives here, her mother countered quickly. She has rights. The officer looked at me. Does she live here? Yeah. Her stuff's in the bedroom. So she can stay. Everyone else needs to leave. Now. Her family started protesting. Her mother launched into this speech about property rights and tenant protections, and how this was a legal eviction. The cop just stood there waiting for her to finish. Ma'am, I'm not going to ask again. Either you leave voluntarily or I start writing citations for trespassing. Your choice. That finally shut her up. She grabbed her portfolio and her purse, shooting me looks that could melt steel. Her father followed without a word. Melissa and her husband practically ran for the door, but her mother couldn't help herself. She turned in the doorway. You're a monster. A cruel, small, pathetic little monster. My daughter deserves so much better than you. The officers looked at me and Veronica. The younger cop was trying not to smile. You two going to be okay here? Yeah, sure. They left. Closed the door behind them. Suddenly it was just me and Veronica in my living room. She stood there for a minute, just staring at me like the room owed her a refund. Then she tried the move I knew was coming, voice suddenly airy and offended. I can't believe you embarrassed me like that in front of my family. I can't even breathe the same air as you right now. I laughed. Not a chuckle. A real one, because the setup was stupid. She blinked. What's funny? You. I nodded toward the door the cops had just used. That was your play, right? Get them in here, corner me, then act wounded when I don't fold? I just meant... I know what you meant. I let it sit for a beat. Get out. Her mouth actually fell open. In 3 years, I'd never spoken to her like this. Not once. She started to say something, so I pointed at the hallway. Pack. Leave. Today. I walked past her, grabbed the remote, and put Game of Thrones back on. Tyrion was mid-sentence, doing the thing where he makes smarter people look slow. Veronica stood there like the TV had personally insulted her. You're really watching TV? You're really still here. She made a noise of pure disbelief, like she couldn't process a world where she didn't get the last word, then stomped to the bedroom. A second later, I heard drawers opening and slamming, closet doors banging, angry muttering that I couldn't quite make out over the show. 20 minutes later, she came back with a suitcase. Stood in the living room entrance like she was waiting for me to look up. I didn't. I hope you're happy with yourself. Getting there. I gave you everything. 3 years of my life. And this is how you treat me? You gave me 3 years of cheating and contempt. I'm treating you exactly how you earned. She grabbed a picture frame off the wall. One of those generic couple photos from a friend's wedding. Wound up like she was going to throw it. Go ahead, I said, without looking away from the screen. It's your security deposit. She froze. Realized she'd be the one paying for damages. Set the frame down slowly and grabbed her suitcase handle instead. You're going to regret this. You're going to wake up one day and realize you lost the best thing that ever happened to you. Doubt it. You'll die alone. You know that, right? You'll be some sad old man with nobody who gives a damn about you? Sounds peaceful. I hate you. She was crying again. I hate everything about you. Your stupid job. Your stupid house. Your stupid truck. This stupid show you're watching. This show is incredible. You just never understood good storytelling. It's garbage. All they do is talk and plot and occasionally someone dies. It's boring. That's because you have the attention span of a goldfish and the cultural literacy of a parking meter. She made this strangled noise of rage, grabbed another picture frame, a vase, her old coffee mug from the kitchen counter, threw them all in her suitcase, zipped it up with shaking hands. I'm leaving, and I'm never coming back. And you're going to spend the rest of your miserable life knowing you weren't good enough for me. Cool. Lock the door on your way out. She stood there for another few seconds, waiting for something. Some final reaction that would prove she still mattered, that she could still affect me. I just watched the show, watched Tyrion deliver one of his brilliant courtroom speeches, while Peter Dinklage absolutely crushed the performance. Veronica wheeled her suitcase to the door, opened it, looked back one last time. I raised my hand in a lazy wave without turning my head. The door slammed. I heard her car start in the driveway, heard her peel out onto the street with unnecessary drama. I turned up the volume on the TV and grabbed my phone. Texted Jace, it's done. She's gone. Moving forward. He responded immediately. About damn time. Coffee later? Yeah, I've got an early shift tomorrow. You're a weird dude. Yeah, but at least I'm not engaged anymore. I settled back into the couch. Watched the rest of the episode in peace. No crying, no begging, no drama. Just me, my house, my show, and the certainty that I'd just dodged the biggest bullet of my life. 2 weeks went by without hearing from Veronica. I figured she'd moved on to Quentin and his 2-carat promises. I had work to focus on. Cedar Ridge Fabrication had landed a rush job for a refinery turnaround, pressure piping spools and vessel repairs, with a hard deadline. Overtime was basically guaranteed, plus a completion bonus if we beat the schedule. I was fitting up a pipe spool, checking the WPS binder, and getting ready to run the route pass when I heard voices getting louder near the front office. Raised voices. One of them was female and very familiar. I set down my grinder and pulled off my welding hood. Walked toward the front just as Veronica pushed past the receptionist at the desk. She was dressed like she was heading to a business meeting. Blazer, heels, hair pulled back, the professional costume she wore when she wanted people to take her seriously. There you are. She pointed at me like I'd been hiding. We need to talk, right now. My general manager stepped out of his office. He looked at Veronica, then at me, then back at her. Ma'am, this is a restricted work area. You can't be back here. I'm his fiancée. I have every right to be here. Ex-fiancée, I corrected. We broke up 2 weeks ago. She ignored me and turned to my manager. I need to speak with you privately. It's about him. It's important. He crossed his arms. If you have a concern about one of my employees, you can email it to our office manager and QC. But you need to leave the shop floor. This can't wait. She pulled out her phone, scrolling quickly. Did you know he's been signing weld logs he didn't actually complete? I have proof. He left weld packets in his truck before. I've seen the documents. He skips required inspections and just marks everything as accepted. The shop went quiet. Every welder within earshot stopped what they were doing. My manager's expression went flat. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. He's not even qualified for half the procedures he's running. He cuts corners constantly. Just pushes work through to make his numbers look good. My stomach dropped. Not because it was true, because she just said it in front of my manager, in front of the client rep near the office, and in front of half the shop crew. My manager looked at me. Is any of that true? No. Veronica laughed, bitter and cruel. Of course he's going to deny it, but you should check his records. Pull his last month of inspections. You'll see what I'm talking about. My manager pulled out his own phone, typed something quickly, then looked at Veronica. I'm going to need you to leave, now. Did you hear what I just said? I heard you, and now I'm telling you to leave or I'm calling the police. She looked shocked, like she'd expected him to immediately fire me on the spot based on her word alone. You're not even going to investigate? Oh, I'm investigating, but you're still leaving. He turned to the receptionist. Call APD. Tell them we have a trespasser refusing to leave. Veronica's face went red. You can't do that. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to tell you that you have a liability working in your shop. And I'm trying to tell you that if you're not gone in 60 seconds, you're getting arrested. She grabbed her purse and stormed toward the exit, stopped at the door and turned back. You'll regret not listening to me. All of you. The door slammed. My manager watched her get in her car and drive away before turning to me. My office. Now. I followed him inside. He closed the door and sat down behind his desk. Tell me what that was about. I explained the breakup, the cheating, her family showing up at my house to humiliate me, the ring situation, everything that led to this moment. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and exhaled slowly. So she's angry you dumped her and decided to come after your job. Looks like it. All right, here's what's happening. I'm pulling you off the turnaround job pending review. QC is going to audit your weld documentation. If it's clean, you're back on. If there's even one questionable log entry, we'll deal with it then. Understood. And I'm calling APD to document a criminal trespass notice. If she shows up here again after that, she gets arrested, not escorted. I nodded. Appreciate you handling it. Don't thank me yet. You're losing 2 weeks of overtime while this gets sorted. That's probably $4,000 you won't see this month. He was right. The turnaround contract had premium overtime rates, plus I was in line for the early completion bonus pool. I'd been counting on that money. Now I was benched while QC verified what everyone already knew. I lost 60 hours of premium overtime, plus my share of the bonus pool. Came out to just over $3,800 that I wouldn't see. I saved the pay stubs, documented exactly what I lost, because Veronica decided to not let go. The QC review took 10 days. They pulled every weld log packet I'd signed for the turnaround job and audited a sample of my last 30 days. Cross-checked my welder qualification cards against the procedures I'd run. Verified NDE reports matched my documentation. Interviewed other welders who'd worked alongside me. Talked to the client's inspector who'd been on site. Found nothing, because there was nothing to find. I got called back to my manager's office on a Thursday morning. You're clear. QC didn't find a single discrepancy. Your certs are current. Your logs match the NDT results. Everything checks out perfectly. Good. But I'm serious about that trespass notice. A PD documented it. If she comes back here, we're pressing charges immediately. I can't have people making false accusations in front of the client's inspector. That guy heard everything she said. I had to spend an hour on the phone with the refinery QA manager explaining our documentation standards. I went back to work. Got reassigned to the turnaround job. But I'd missed the critical first phase. Lost the overtime. Lost the bonus pool. $3,800 gone because my ex-fiancée decided that lying about my certifications was a reasonable response to being dumped. That weekend, I sat down with my receipt folder. Wedding venue deposit, $3,200. I paid it. She was supposed to reimburse half. Catering deposit, $4,000. Split payment. I sent mine. The vendor confirmed they only received my payment. Photography, florist, DJ, invitations, cake. I had screenshots of our texts agreeing to split everything 50-50. I had receipts showing I paid everything. I had proof she paid almost nothing. Total she owed $11,400. I typed up a demand letter, itemized list, screenshots of the agreements, bank statements, exact amount due, deadline of 30 days, sent it certified mail with return receipt, waited. She never responded. The deadline passed. I filed in Travis County Justice of the Peace Court. Small claims, breach of agreement, unjust enrichment, 11,000 back plus filing costs. A constable served her at her office the next week. Hearing date, 6 weeks out. The day of the hearing, I showed up early with 3 copies of everything. Receipts organized, text screenshots printed and highlighted, bank statements marked. Veronica showed up late with nothing. Nothing but attitude. The judge was a woman in her 50s who looked like she'd been doing this for decades. She called our case. We approached. Mr. Hale, explain your claim. I walked through it. Engagement, wedding planning, agreement to split costs 50-50. Her payments never materialized. Relationship ended. Money owed. I handed her my documentation. She flipped through slowly. Receipts, text messages, bank statements. Then she looked at Veronica. Do you have documentation showing you paid your share? I don't need documentation. He's lying. We never agreed to split anything. He offered to pay because he knew my family had concerns about his finances. This is him punishing me for ending the relationship. The judge raised her eyebrows. You ended the relationship? Yes. He wasn't meeting my standards. I found someone better. And these text messages where you explicitly agree to split costs 50-50? Those are out of context. The context being what? Veronica floundered. I don't know. They're just not accurate. The judge looked at me. Anything else to add? No, Your Honor. The evidence speaks for itself. I agree. Judgment for plaintiff. Ms. Hernandez, you owe Mr. Hale $11,400 plus $250 in filing costs. 30 days to pay, or Mr. Hale can pursue collection. Veronica's mouth fell open. That's not fair. You can't. I can, and I did. Next case. Dismissed. Veronica stood in shock while I gathered my documents and left. A week later, I met with someone who specialized in employment disputes at a small firm near campus. I explained the shop incident, the false accusations, the lost wages. He nodded. Potential defamation and interference claims, but litigation costs more than it's worth for $3,800. I can draft a demand letter on firm letterhead instead. Reference the small claims judgment. Sometimes that's enough to motivate payment. Do it. The letter went out 2 days later. Professional. 30 days after the judgment. Veronica still hadn't paid a single dollar. I went back to the courthouse and recorded an abstract of judgment in Travis County records. Cost a small recording fee. Now it was public record. If she tried to buy or refinance property in that county, that judgment could attach as a lien until she dealt with it. Image mattered to people like her. Credit scores mattered even more. This would eat at her every time she tried anything financial. 2 weeks later, she called me at 7:14 a.m. from an unknown number. No fake sweetness, no attitude, just panic. Something about trying to finance a new car and getting blindsided. Said she'd been trying to get pre-approved for a condo with Quentin and everything ground to a halt. She didn't say sorry. She said, "Can we fix this today?" I told her there was nothing to fix. There was only pay, full amount, cashier's check, and I'd file the satisfaction once it cleared. The check showed up the next afternoon. No note, no apology, just money. Which, honestly, was the most sincere thing she'd produced in years. I deposited it and bought back my piece. Then work got better. The QC audit cleared my name. The refinery inspector was impressed. They extended the contract for the next turnaround cycle. My manager offered me a lead welder position 2 weeks later. $4 more an hour. First call for critical welds and procedure qualification. I took it. Around the same time, I started noticing Lainey from the parts supplier. She came by twice a week with deliveries. Always professional. Always efficient. One afternoon, she stayed an extra 10 minutes to walk me through a new inventory system. Explained it clearly. Didn't talk down to me. You're good at this, I said. She shrugged. I just like it when things make sense. We kept talking. Nothing forced. Just easy conversation between two people who respected competence over drama. She left with a casual, "See you Thursday." I found myself looking forward to Thursday. 4 months after the breakup, someone knocked on my door at 8 at night. I checked the peephole. Veronica and her mother. This was going to be good. I opened the door but left the security chain engaged. What? Veronica looked terrible. Hair flat, no makeup, sweatpants, and an oversized shirt. Her mother looked uncomfortable. Designer outfit still perfectly pressed, but her face had this tight expression like she was swallowing glass. "We need to talk to you," Veronica said. "About what?" "About everything. About what happened. Please, just 5 minutes." Her mother's jaw clenched. "I'm here because my daughter insisted." "Fascinating. Still not interested." Veronica grabbed the door frame. "Please, Quentin dumped me. He said I was too high maintenance, that I had unrealistic expectations, that I blamed everyone else for my problems." She was crying now. "I got upset one night. I sent messages to his boss's wife, explaining that Quentin wasn't who she thought, that he was seeing me while leading on other women, that he had commitment issues." I stared at her. "You did what?" "It wasn't even that bad. But his boss's wife showed the messages to her husband. Quentin got pulled into an office meeting. They told him it was creating a workplace disruption, that I was unstable, that he needed to handle his personal life before it affected his career. So he dumped you. He called me unhinged, said I was radioactive, that anyone who associated with me got burned. He blocked my number and told his company he wanted no contact with me. Sounds familiar. Sounds like Quentin's smarter than I gave him credit for. My family won't stop bringing it up. Every dinner, every phone call, Mom and Dad keep saying they told me so, that I threw away someone stable for someone shiny, that I ruined everything." Her mother shifted uncomfortably. "Didn't deny any of it. And you thought coming here would accomplish what exactly?" "I wanted to apologize. To tell you I was wrong, that I see things differently now." She looked back at her mother. "We both wanted to apologize." Her mother said nothing. "Mom," Veronica hissed. "Say it." Her mother's face went red. She stared at the ground. "I may have misjudged the situation." "That's not what we practiced," Veronica snapped. "I'm not reading a script, Veronica. You promised. You said if I brought you here, you'd apologize properly." Her mother looked at me with pure hatred still burning in her eyes. But she forced the words out anyway. "I apologize for my behavior during our last meeting. It was inappropriate." She said it like she was reporting a traffic violation. No sincerity. No actual remorse. Just compliance under duress. I stared at both of them. Veronica looking desperate. Her mother looking humiliated. Both of them standing on my doorstep expecting this performance to mean something. Then I started laughing until I couldn't catch my breath. It made my ribs hurt. Veronica's face went from hopeful to confused to angry in about 5 seconds. "What's funny?" I kept laughing. Wiped my eyes. "This. All of this. You actually thought this would work. You dragged your mother here to force an apology she clearly doesn't mean. And you expected me to what? Fall to my knees in gratitude? Take you back? Pretend none of it happened? I'm trying to make things right. No, you're trying to undo consequences. There's a difference." I looked at her mother. "And you, standing there choking on words you don't believe because your daughter's life fell apart and you can't stand watching her be miserable. That's not an apology. That's damage control." Her mother's face went from red to purple. "How dare you? How dare I what? Tell the truth. You came to my house, stood on my doorstep, delivered a forced apology that insulted both of us. And now you're mad because I'm not playing along?" Veronica was crying now. "I made a mistake. People make mistakes. Don't you believe in second chances?" "Sure, for people who deserve them. You don't. That's cruel." "No, cruel was telling your family you'd forget me in a week like I was nothing. Cruel was bringing your family to my house to humiliate me. Cruel was lying to my manager to try to get me fired. You don't get to rewrite history because Quentin didn't work out." Her mother stepped forward. "My daughter is trying to be the bigger person here. The least you could do is listen with an open mind." I laughed again. Couldn't help it. The bigger person. That's what we're calling this? Showing up uninvited with a hostage apology is being the bigger person? We came here in good faith. You came here because your daughter's miserable and you can't fix it. Because Quentin saw through her act in 6 months when it took me 3 years. Because all your money and connections couldn't buy her a personality worth keeping. Veronica made this choked sound. Half sob, half gasp. "You're a monster. And you're trespassing. Again." I pulled out my phone. "Leave now or I'm calling the police." Veronica's face went pale. "You wouldn't." "Try me." Her mother grabbed Veronica's arm. "We're leaving." "No, I'm not done. He needs to hear." "Veronica, we're leaving. Now." She tried to pull away, but her mother had a grip on her wrist, dragged her back toward their car while Veronica kept looking back at me. "You're going to regret this," Veronica shouted. "You're going to realize what you lost and it'll be too late." "Already forgot you." Her mother shoved her toward the passenger door, got her inside, walked around to the driver's side with her head high, like she could salvage some dignity from this disaster. I stayed in the doorway, watched them pull out of my driveway, watched them disappear down the street, went back inside, locked the door, went back to my documentary about space exploration. The ring was still in my toolbox at work. The judgment was still on record, and Veronica was still somebody else's problem. Never mine again. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that